Want to say something? Hello.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Yes. So these are some. What would I say? You are some. Not monks,
We're friars.
friars. Yes, and a friar. Just in case people didn't know, they're not standing in a kitchen
No.
frying food, right?
Indeed, yes, yeah.
So, and you're of a particular branch of Christianity. Would I be right?
Yeah.
Which is Augustinian or Franciscan. Franciscan.
Franciscan, yes.
Franciscan, and you have a greater cape than his. Are you a higher ranking?
No.
And what is your name?
Giovanni.
Giovanni. That sounds very Italian.
Thomas. Yeah.
Thomas. But you were from where? Switzerland?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm from Netherlands.
I would have thought Giovanni is Italian.
Yeah, the name, you are right. The name is
You're a fryer of pizzas.
yeah, yeah.
And you are operating out of the local Franciscan, which is the friary up there, opposite the courthouse. And we have met in the park once before.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and we have some nice conversations. And so we see you around town. And, there's a lot of work to be done amongst these people.
Of course.
Yes. And at the very early stages of ministering to these people, one of the first things is to just bring them to an awareness of the reality of God, even. Say, for example, you meet an atheist and he said, I don't believe there's a God.
No.
Okay. Then we will start to use some apologetics to show him why that's not true. When someone says they tell me they do not believe there's a God, I don't believe them. I don't believe them. Because what Paul said, though they know God exists, they deny God's existence. So that's my first approach, just to demonstrate, look who it is. Look who it is. These people are from Bulgaria, and they are attending my church. Hello.
Thank you so much.
You're back. I didn't know you're even back. This is Giovanni
Giovanni, hi.
and Thomas. Yes. Yes. Well, I hope I see you on Sunday, if you're able to make church. Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Domingo.
Very good.
With you. So I was actually preaching on the street over there one day, and those guys came and heard me, and they said, no, they didn't understand what was being said, but they understood that I might be a preacher.
Yeah.
So they said, do you have a church here? Do you have a church? Yeah. I said, yes. And because they're from the same kind of church back in Bulgaria, they want to come along. Hey, I hope you're all on camera there.
Yeah, no, well.
And I hope I present you well, and you presented yourselves well. Good stuff. Okay, so
welcome in our friary.
I'm sure I've actually been to the bookshop once before, but we are very busy people, very busy. Every week, holding Bible studies online and in person, and evangelistic work and study. Is there ever any time for fun and games? Like you guys are always having fun and games. Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
Then, I wish you success. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's the gospel.
Yeah.
If the gospel goes forth, that's what we want.
Continue. Yeah. Very good.
Bring the lost.
God's love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And truth.
And truth.
Truth. Because as you know, in the letters of John, love is very, very important. But he also said in 2 John and 3 John, it's so good that you're walking in the truth.
Yeah.
And some people have exalted one above the other, rather than saying, these two are very important. You can't have one without the other, So that's very important. Okay, guys. Well, where is your hand? It's hidden beneath the cloak.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, bye. How's it going? Maybe you'd like to have a conversation as well. See, it's one thing standing here. It's another thing trying to engage people in conversation. What language is that? I don't know. Hello. Oh, you're just the guy I'm looking for. Do you want to do an interview?
No, thank you.
Quick, few questions?
About?
Huh? About anything you want, especially about religion.
Oh.
Yeah?
Interview.
Yeah?
All right.
Here you go. Stand over here so we can catch you. Just stand there, if you don't mind. Now, where are you guys from?
Italy.
Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't speak very good Italian at all. Do you speak good English?
Yeah, a little
I think
bit,
you
yeah.
do. Okay, I'm just doing a few quick questions on the street, and I've just spoken to some priests, so they are a different order than you are. Okay, first question is, are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Is there a God? Now, you're from Italy. I suppose you're a
Yeah.
Roman Catholic, I guess.
Yeah.
Is there a God?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, so second question. Do you have a soul? As in a non-material part of you which lives on after you die, for example?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, and the third question is, where would you go? And what's your name, by the way?
Matteo.
Matthew. If you were to die today, where do you suppose you would go? As in your soul, that is.
Nowhere.
Nowhere. So you have a soul.
Yeah.
What is that soul then?
Just evaporate.
It evaporates.
Yeah.
So it's just a party that evaporates like water.
Something like
Could you
that.
be wrong about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever read anything or studied these things at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a part of Bible.
Okay. What did you read in the Bible, by the way?
The Genesis and the Apocalypse.
So you went from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And you missed out all the stuff in between.
Yeah, that's
That's a lot. That's a lot.
yeah, but the last part is the most interesting.
Those are the interesting, how we began and how we're finishing.
Yeah.
And some people, they say, how do things end up? And sometimes they read the back of the book just to see, well, I want to see how it ends. But you want to know how it began as well, right?
Yeah.
But isn't our life journey has a beginning and an end? But all that happens in between is called that journey. And what is happening on that journey is also important.
Yeah.
Like when you say, I got up in the airplane and I landed. What happened in between? Well, we were on the airplane, looked out the window, had good food, whatever. Or you're on a journey on a train, starting, finish. You look out the window, enjoy, yes. Now,
Yeah.
here's the deal. You probably haven't read the bits in the Bible where it says this, that after this life, there will be a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's a judgment, who's the judge? Let's say God.
Yeah.
Okay. And what sort of God is the God that you don't know, maybe exists or not, you don't know? What sort of a God would that be?
Not mine.
Not mine.
No.
Well, that's probably true. You know why? There's a verse in Genesis, you quoted, that you read Genesis. It says, God made man in his own image and likeness. And someone said this, yes, and man has been returning the favor ever since. And that is because we're very good at making up our own gods. Like the God in your head
Yeah.
might not be the God of the Bible. It could be
Yeah.
just something I made up. That's why there are what we call idolaters, people who make idols
Mm-hmm.
and worship these statues and idols. And in Hinduism, for example, there are 300 million gods,
Wow.
right? And in Mormonism, there's even more, because you can become a god yourself, right? So when you say, what is the God, or who is this God, or how you describe this God, not your one. Which is your one then? Because yours could be a reflection of yourself,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
Now, if the God of the Bible isn't a reflection of yourself, here's the basics of it. I wasn't looking for God when I became a Christian. I was certainly not looking for God. But when I discovered that the God, if there is a God, is a holy God, and that I'm going to face judgment one day, and that I'm not holy, then that wasn't looking very good for me, was it? And I was
Yeah.
only 17-year-old, but that got me thinking about these things. But it doesn't mean say I'm a Christian. It just means I began to think, well, if there's a God and I'm a sinner, that's not looking good. How do I correct that issue? So that's what I'm saying. So that's the God. So the soul. We'll move on to the second one really quickly. Some people describe the soul as an immaterial part of us. Maybe you can call it also the spirit, soul or spirit, an immaterial. So if you cut off someone's arms and legs and maybe most of your body, but they say, there you are, that's you, in a jam jar.
Yeah.
But you're connected to wires and you're still alive. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is there a soul that is independent of the body? And is it live on after we die? That's the question I was getting at. See?
Yeah.
You don't know.
I actually don't know.
Well, I will propose to you that there is. And because there's a judgment after this life, that soul, that person will stand before the judge. Okay? And the final question I asked you was this: what do you think happens when you die? Now, your body, most certainly without the soul,
Yeah.
will probably collapse onto the ground. And then who knows what's going to happen to that,
Yeah.
right? But as for the soul, it lives beyond this life, right? It's not eternal, but it will live on forever, and it will be judged one day. So therefore, that's the question. Where do you think you would end up if God, say God did judge you? And remember, the judge is not some clown who doesn't know anything about your life. He knows everything about us, everything about everyone who's ever lived. So therefore, there's no point in trying to say, let's try to trick this judge. He knows everything. So if he judged you and he says, well, I have these standards, these laws that I gave you, the Ten Commandments, for example, if I judged you by that, do you think you would be okay? You'd pass the test?
Not completely.
Not completely. Okay. So let's say he says, I find you guilty.
Yeah.
What happens to you then? If this what I'm proposing is true.
Yeah.
You're guilty before a holy God, and he says, I have every right to dispose of you into the fire. You've heard of this, right? What would you say? Would you say, hey, that's not fair? Or
Yeah.
you think this judge, you're the judge. Who am I to argue?
No, it's not fair.
Not fair, why?
No. Because
You don't think you've done enough wrong.
yeah.
Okay. What do you think you have to do to be really guilty? Murder somebody?
Yeah, but also the reason why I murdered somebody.
Well, killing somebody isn't necessarily murder, right?
Yeah, it is.
Right. Well, let's suppose that the government says we're going to put a guy to death because he's broken the law. He's a mass murderer. We're going to put him to death. He's getting the death penalty. Is that murder of him? Or is he getting the death sentence
Yeah.
that he knew that's what you're going to get if you do these sort of things? That's a penalty for breaking the law, right?
Yeah.
And we are all actually under the death sentence. Did you know that? We are all going to die.
Yeah.
So we're under a death sentence, right?
Mhm.
So here's the deal. If God finds you guilty, he can do it as he wants.
Yeah.
But he's already said that that's going to be a judgment of each one of us. Do you want to hear some good news, though? Okay. God, knowing that you have broken his laws and would never be able to do anything about that, nor do you even desire to do anything about that, God himself, before you were ever born, came into this world, lived as a man, lived a perfect life here on this earth, never broke a single one of God's laws, yet he was treated as if he had broken them all. He was treated and crucified on a cross and rose again the third day. This person's name is Jesus, okay? Why was he doing that? Just do it for the fun of it? No. Did he do it because I'm just setting an example of what others should do? No. He was taking our place. He was taking the punishment that I deserve, okay, so that I don't have to be judged. Okay?
Okay.
And then if I put my trust in Jesus Christ, I don't face the judgment of God. But if I reject that offer and say, listen, I don't need your offer, I'll just stand before God and see how I do. I think I'll be okay. Well, I wouldn't want to bet on that. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you understand? So listen, I don't want to go on too long, but I'll give you anything you want to read. If you want to read a small leaflet, you can do so. Anyone, any other question? I'll take that. Any other questions? You find us all very funny? No, come on. We'll hear it out. We'll hear it out.
All right, yeah.
You're on TV after all.
Yeah. Well, what should I say?
Huh?
What should I say? I don't know.
It's up to you. Do you have any questions?
No, not really questions.
Okay, is there a God?
Maybe we.
He said that as well. Maybe. Okay, why do you say that?
Because the things that happen, definitely because of God. The good things that happen, definitely because of God. The bad things, definitely because of God, because he's testing us and stuff like that. Because if there's good, there has to be bad. So if we pray to God and then the thing happens, obviously there's a God that we're praying to.
Is that strong evidence, though?
Not really, but I mean, it's strong enough for me.
Okay, well, it's not strong enough for... What's your name?
Eduardo.
Eduardo. Is defining is a little hard, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me just ask this. Okay, the way I'm not here to try to prove God's existence, right? That's not my job. But I do sometimes enter into a sort of a apologetic, which is this. If someone said to me, how do I know God exists? I would say, well, the Bible tells me that you know God exists, but that you deny God's existence. So let's see if that's true. Is there anything in existence today?
Well, repeat it.
Is there anything in existence in the
Yeah.
universe today?
Is there anything?
Like, does anything exist?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I think. How could anyone disagree? Unless you're
Yeah. I think
dreaming or something. So things do exist. Everything around you exists. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, have things always existed, or did they come into existence?
Came into existence.
Well, that's his question. Now you gotta let him answer.
I think they always exist.
Always existed. Well, that's what most scientists thought up until about the 1950s.
1950. Oh,
Yeah, and then they said we're wrong. So they came up with this theory called the Big Bang. Have you heard of the Big Bang?
Sure.
Why did they come up with the Big Bang?
Because I don't know, the universe created for explosions.
Created.
Yeah.
You're saying it is
Yeah,
created then?
for science. Yeah.
Okay, so they believe and they've come to conclude it can't always have existed. It was brought into existence. It either came into existence by some other means or it created itself.
But the Big Bang created our
But what is that?
universe.
But
If
you're
something explodes, it becomes
Yeah.
something that were existing.
But something had to exist, in other words.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you don't have nothing and then something.
Yeah.
It's
So
not,
it always exists.
something always existed,
Yeah,
right?
for me, yeah.
So that's no problem. Everyone agrees with that something has always existed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it was always just nothing, then nothing would exist today.
Yeah.
So something has always existed, or someone has always existed. Now, which of those two
Something.
is something? Why something and not someone?
Because I don't think like
Hold
the
it up a
Bible.
little closer there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. The Bible could interpret it in so many ways.
I'm not talking about the Bible at this
Oh,
point,
no,
okay?
no.
I'm just
Alright.
saying, when you say someone or something, it's one
Yeah.
or the other, right?
Hmm.
If we went with the idea that something always existed, do things think? Like,
No.
do things think, oh, I have an idea, let's create? Why would that even happen? Like, why would there be a starting point even to say, from this point on, me who is nothing, who is just a thing, is just going to... It doesn't happen like that. There's no reason for it to happen. And if it's a someone, who's someone, you're a someone, right?
Yeah.
Someone says, I thought to myself, let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's show what I can do. Let's say you're an artist. I've used this illustration before. An artist shows his workmanship, what he can do. And people go, that's a great job you've done. Well done. Okay, I want to show what I can do. I played the guitar to show what I can do. But a something without a mind and without personality wouldn't even come up with that.
Yeah.
So a someone would. Perhaps it's just that we don't like the God of the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, more likely, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really
It's
the
not
reality.
necessarily the Bible God.
Yeah,
Yeah, it could
maybe.
be like-
Yeah, could be another, but it's certainly. Now, don't block the camera too much now. All right. So we understand it's most rational to believe that someone, a being, has always been and created everything. We may not like that God. Okay. So that's why people come up with all different ideas of what God must be like. So they create ideas of God. They invent ideas of God. A God who's a little bit easier to work with. A one who's not as judgmental, perhaps. Who gives me the freedom to do whatever I want to do. I want a God who I can keep, under control. A one that I come up with. See, if you've come up with a God, it's idolatry. And we don't like the God of the Bible because God, number one, is holy and he's sovereign over all things. And it's basically, we're saying to God, in effect, you're not going to tell me how to live my life. Don't you tell me what laws to live by. I'm not answerable to you. And that's the biggest problem. And if you were let's say you were God, the creator, and your creation said that to you, what would you think? Oh, after me making all these, and they're going to say to me, you can get lost. Wow. That's why our sin is so repulsive in the eyes of God. It's not a matter, you stole, or you looked at this woman. It's the fact that in our hearts, there is a great rebellion against God that says, you're not telling me how to live my life.
I think that the Bible was written by people, like normal people.
Okay,
so
what has that got to do with the argument?
that God is saying nothing.
Huh?
God is saying nothing.
God said nothing?
God said nothing. Just people said nothing for God.
Really?
Yeah.
So what? I don't see how that has any relevance to the argument.
Because we don't know what God says.
Well, you haven't read the Bible then.
Yeah. Written by who?
Well, it's written by men.
By man.
Yes.
Not by God.
Well, I would say, now here, have you ever written anything in your life?
Yeah, about the Bible.
No, have you ever written anything in your life?
Like books, normal books.
No, anything.
Yeah, sure.
Really, have you got a finger that is a pen? Or do you use a pen?
There's a pen.
So what's the instrument? The instrument is the pen, right?
Yeah.
You don't write it. Unless you wrote with your finger in the sand.
Yeah.
Yeah? You could write...
Yeah, but the hands is from people.
But the instrument, it's an instrument. That's all it is, right? Even your hand is an instrument.
So people are instruments
Yes,
for God.
exactly. And did you know...
I don't really think that.
I know you don't think about it like this. Can I draw a straight line with a crooked stick?
Can you draw what?
A straight line
Yeah.
with a crooked stick.
In the sand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So even though the stick is crooked and bent,
Huh?
I can still draw a straight line with it.
Sure.
Roughly straight, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Even the people that God used, they're not saying, I was thinking to myself one day, I just would write this. They were given the words of the Holy Spirit. Okay. Now, if people wanted to go into that and let me see if that's true, what you have to do in that case is read it at least and say, now, does this sound like the words of a man? Because if men were creating gods, they usually don't create a God that is like the God of the Bible.
Yeah.
Let's say you're afraid of the dark. There's a monster in my room.
Yeah.
But you come up with a God that protects you, okay?
All right.
Like a cuddly bear or whatever you come up with, okay? You will never come up with a God like the God of the Bible who is so holy that he hates the very sin in each one of us, right? A God who is so holy he would judge every one of us. A God who is so holy that he brings judgment upon wickedness every time he sees it, unless he holds back. A God who at the same time is loving toward us, even though when we're sinners. So there's a lot of things that no human being could come up with a God like the God of the Bible. They'd come up with something different, but not the God who is, the Bible even describes God as, our God is a consuming fire. I mean, who comes up with that sort of stuff? But all the idols of men, oh, he's an easygoing God. He's like Ronald McDonald at McDonald's or something like that, you know? A clown who just is here to entertain you, you know, but not the God of the Bible.
Yeah, but God is only, it's also used as instruments to like keep our fear, to keep low our fear.
Well, you should have a fear of God.
Yeah. No, not the fear of God, the fear of life. Use God like as a protector for our fear of life or what happens. Yeah.
But would that be a reasonable God to believe in a God that is even scarier than life itself?
Repeat it again.
This God of the Bible is scarier than your worst nightmares.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because you have no idea what this God is like.
Yeah.
You don't want to go near him. When God gave the 10 Commandments to Israel, they were scared. Like, they said, please, we can't handle this anymore.
Yeah.
And he was only giving them the law. And the earth was earthquake shaking. Everything was smoking. And they were like really afraid. And that was God coming. But he hadn't come in judgment at that point, just to give them the law. So what's your name again?
Eduardo.
Eduardo, thank you for stopping. And it's good to have these conversations, even if we disagree, right? Yeah. It gets you thinking, okay? Now you can take something with you, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm more agnostic than
I know you are. Yeah. Do you know what an agnostic is?
Yeah, I don't know if God exists or not.
It literally means...
I don't reject the existence.
Do you know what it literally means?
Yeah.
Ignoramus. Ignoramus. No, ignoramus is like, I'm totally ignorant. That's what you're saying. But you don't want to really say you're totally ignorant. You want to say, I'm thinking it through. That's all you want to say. I'm thinking it through. Ignoramus, being totally ignorant, would mean, I haven't got a clue.
Yeah,
but you do have a clue.
It would be cool to have like a God that like provides you the heaven.
Oh, nice stuff. All the nice stuff, yeah.
It sounds so good.
Too good to be true.
Yeah,
yes. Well, that's why I said the God of the Bible isn't just good. He's so good that he hates evil. Say, for example, there's a guy who says, I'm so good. Let's say there's a guy who murders children, for example, right?
Oh, okay.
Murders children, and he's going to court, okay? And someone told him, hey, don't you worry about that judge, because that judge is so good, so good, so good, that judge. Oh, so he goes to court, and the judge has all the information, all the evidence against him, and he says, look, I've got all the evidence here, you're in trouble. Do you have anything to say before I pass sentence? And he goes, well, yes, I heard that you're really a really good judge. And the judge, and so for that reason, I believe you're so good, you're going to let me go. If he was a good judge, would he let him go?
No, because it wouldn't be good to other people.
Exactly. So people would turn around and they would say this: he is not a good judge because he let a bad man walk free. If he was a good judge, if he's a good judge, he would have judged that man and put him away so he wouldn't do that again. So God can be so good, but on the other side of it is this: that if he is so good, then he must judge wickedness every time he finds it. And believe me, he's not light on things. He's severe as a judge.
So God represents equality.
Well, if you want fairness, let's say you said, I want what's fair. Fairness would be, okay, you're going to hell. But if you said, no, I don't want fairness. No. I want mercy. Mercy is what you want.
Yeah.
You understand? And mercy, you cannot earn mercy. Say, if God is giving us justice, right, this would mean every single one of us is condemned. Every single one of us. But every one of us, because there's not one of us has not broken his laws or sinned in some way. But if on the other hand God shows mercy, must God show mercy to every single person, or to whom He wants to show mercy? Oh, sorry, I should have been giving you the microphone.
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
You want to say something?
No.
Okay, so let's say, for example, there's a prisoner in jail, and he's done wrong things, okay? And somebody comes down and says, here's your pardon, you are free to go.
All right.
Is that fair?
It's not fair towards other people.
Why is it not fair to them?
Because they will want like justice.
But they're getting justice.
How they get?
Because they're in jail.
Oh my God! Wait, I left the part where they're in jail.
Okay, they're in jail because they got the justice, right?
All right.
And somebody else is told you can walk away free. They're being showing mercy. Okay, is that fair? Is it fair? Who's it fair to?
Oh my God!
It's a difficult one, right?
Yeah.
Because he shows mercy, or because mercy is shown to one, can the others complain and say that's not fair? We want justice. We want justice. We want what's fair. And the judge will just say, you want what's fair. Okay, you're staying in jail for another 10 years.
Yeah, but like God's judgment can be based on it can be based on like justice in real life. If there's a life after this life, the justice that like occurs after this life can be based on this life, because they are two separate things.
Yes, I know what you're saying. So let's say someone says, I've lived all my life. Okay, perfect life, didn't do a thing wrong, and at the last minute decide to go and blow people up. Then he goes,
oh my God,
you know. Or let's say they were a bad person all their life, and then the last minute said, I did something good. Does that change things? Put it another way. Let's say God's pass mark is 100% perfection. Who's going to pass?
No one.
Right. Supposing you said, I'm going to try, and he says, you tried. What was your name again? Eduardo, I'm going to wait till you're dead, and I'm going to tell you what your score was.
Yeah.
Okay, I wish I knew in advance. But let's say he says, right, you're dead now. Okay. And you say, well, how did I do? Eduardo, you were 1 point away. You were just 1 point away.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's a pity. But anyway, you're going to hell. Now, if on the other hand you said, I'll never be able to get there of my own ability, I need some help here. How are you doing, Yuri? Good to see you. Let's say, for example, Jesus himself came to this world, lived the perfect life. But he says, take my credits, give them to Eduardo.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Yeah, 1 second. 1 minute. Well, 1 minute. 1 minute.
Ayo.
If Jesus said, give Eduardo my credits, and then you can stand before God and says, I have perfection. Where'd you get it from? Jesus gave it to me. See? Then you're not trusting in your own, but you're trusting in Jesus Christ. Understand?
All right.
Eduardo, sorry for that.
Yeah,
and thanks for stopping, okay? God bless you. Okay. All right. That was nice.